it is the power of quotation,
Yeah,
but taken to the point of aggravation.
yeah, and that's
But
a lovely way to put it. Quotation, yeah, and I think some when I used to say to me when he'd recognise, he'd say, "That's a lovely quote." He wouldn't say that's a lift. He'd say, "You have quoted there beautifully."
yeah,
Yeah, I remember that.
well, yeah.
Yeah, and but have you are you aware of Dorothy Ashby, by the way, a harpist called Dorothy Ashby, a jazz harpist?
No, I'll tell you, I'm aware of a harpist, a jazz harpist by the name of Corky Hale that I put up against any harpist
Okay,
ev- ever.
all right,
Her husband wrote innumerable hits for Elvis Presley
right.
and so forth. Heartbreak Hotel and everything. Lieber Stoller,
Mm.
that team. This girl. But the name of the harpist I'm now supposed to pay attention to is what?
Dorothy Ashby, Ashby, and
Harpist.
this is
I'll
really
look for.
and she was probably recording in the 60s, and I think the stuff's issued on the Cadet label,
Okay.
and it's
Oh,
you'll
I
love it.
see.
You'll love it.
All right. Okay.
That's something fantastic. And I just thought, because that's again I listened to a lot of her music, and that's what we were maybe trying to do when the harp just comes in and has those little moments on the record. They're little, not exactly quotations, but it's little references to something that's
I
really.
like the harp a lot. By the way, I don't know anything, but it took me a long time to learn how to say that. But I learned something along the way, and I think it's wonderful fun. It's the harp, of course, has those seven pedals sitting at the bottom of it,
Right, yeah.
and those pedals are arranged in a certain way: D, C, B, E, F, G, A. The way I remember that, the acronym is: Did Captain Bligh ever fear God Almighty? So that's the way I keep track of where the feet are at any point in a harp's
Okay,
part.
okay.
Did
Right.
Captain Bligh ever
Ever
fear
fear
God
God
Almighty?
Almighty? That's beautiful. That is really
Isn't it
lovely.
fun?
Yeah, isn't it great? Yeah, I must remember that. I must remember
And it's
that.
got to be British. It's got to be British. It's so utile. It's so
What did you
serviceable.
yeah? What did what's the over here when kids are learning the treble clef? It's every boy deserves football.
Yeah,
What is it
yeah,
in?
yeah. Every good boy does fine, is what they say
Oh, really?
over
Isn't it?
here.
Oh,
Yeah.
that's yeah. But yeah, anyway, yeah. I only learned to sort of learn the dots about 7 or 8 years ago, and of course you've got this wonderful thing called Sibelius now. Hey, I'm I'm sorry, yet again you've outdone me.
Why? Why? Why?
Well, the best
What
I can do is
happened?
hold up a yogurt pot.
Oh no, no, no. I do. Oh,
There you go. Oh my
that's
God,
from my that's from my dad's office.
right.
My Jedermann, Jedermensch hat seine Vogel. Everybody's a little crazy. Everybody has his own bird. From my dad's office.
Right.
I keep things here that mean so very much to me.
Mm.
Right over here. I must bring this forward.
Mm.
This here. Wait just a second. Let me try to find it. This here is Mr. Macabre.
Mr.
I picked
McCall.
him up in London.
Okay,
Isn't he fun?
he's fine.
He,
Was that
he
on the
remind,
trip when you played at the Queen Elizabeth Hall? Is that
Oh
was
no,
that?
no, no! That was given to me by Andy Wickham, who was the head of Warner Brothers
Yes.
England, Warner Brothers Country Division. Andy,
Yeah.
wonderful, wonderful man,
Yeah.
who is a Londoner, is one of my best friends in life, and I did a record called "Clang of the Yankee Reaper."
Yes, of
Well,
course.
it turned it comes from a poem title called "Clang of the Yankee Reaper on Salisbury Plain." Well,
Oh
that was
right.
written by a great granduncle of mine.
Oh
He
really?
was in he was in London to sell American International Harvester to the Earl of Pembroke. Now,
Well,
I
okay.
learned to keep the T-H-E
Mm,
in the title.
mm.
Okay, so I went with with Ian Rolfini, the head of Warner Brothers. He lent me his limousine. All of a sudden, I'm riding down to the Salisbury Plain
Right. Yes.
to
Yes.
the home of in a little place called Hanging Langford.
Mm,
I get to Hanging Langford. I'm in the hedgerows, walking the hedgerow with
mm-hmm,
Jilly, the little dog, and
mm-hmm.
Air Commodore Wickham, retired, and his
Right.
wife Barbara.
Yeah.
They took me through the chapel. She picked up some dead blossoms on the floor, kind of had to sweep it clean. We went on in the rain, which was occasionally horizontal, a beautiful spring day, lilies and so forth, but very, very rustic weather out there in the country. And we met the grandson of that Earl of Pembroke.
Wow.
This is how Andy and I were involuntarily in an amazing story.
And
We were involved. And so I was so incredibly impressed that I went and did a record called Clang of the Yankee Reaper.
I often wondered where that came from.
And and it was to celebrate this united propinquity. I mean, something happened. We just decided to put out a record.
Mm, mm.
And he was the producer.
Yes,
So
I
isn't
did. I
that
remember.
fun? It's almost implausible, but that's exactly what happened. And the poem that my ancestor wrote was not a very good poem, or I would have used it.
Mm,
It was not a good poem, but I thought the title that the pact is the man wrote this tune while behind the heat of the teen.
mm.
He said, behind the horses.
Yeah. Oh
So
my God.
he was trying to sell some equipment to the Earl of Pembroke.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, that's. I often wondered where that title came from. But very, and you know, what a fine sounding record, and the and of course That's Jim Keltner playing drums on that record, isn't it?
Yes, I would think so.
Yeah, Jim Keltner playing drums, and a kind of a big. It sounds like a big room that you recorded that in.
That was pretty much a take one kind of a thing.
Yeah. Yeah.
That was a big
Yeah.
the publisher perish kind of moment. That was just devil may care. We just went right in
Mm.
and we did that, and that was hard work.
And
The only thing that wasn't like that was the song itself called "Playing at the
yeah.
Yankee Reaper," which was more or less track. But the the general torque of the project was because of the personage of Trevor Lawrence, who was a sax man, kind of like from the Stack, a Stack artist, great saxophone player that I met through Harry Nilsson. So he came on board,
Right.
and he was Jamaican by inheritance, and so he was very happy to work on essentially a
And was that
calypso.
where was that? Was that recorded at Sunset Sound or? Yeah, I'm trying to remember.
Yeah, I would think most of it probably was.
Yeah, yeah. And what would you have been listening to at the time? What kind of where would your head have been at the time?
Oh, I was only listening to Trinidadian music.
Mm, right.
That's
Yeah.
all I was listening to. That was
And
my community.
and the other musicians. How did they chime in? How would they have got on that wavelength? How would you have educated them and said, "This is where we need to go"? I mean, that would have been, that would have been a task, I'd say.
Oh no, no, it was. I mean, it was a written adventure.
Right.
Everything was on the page. If it
Everything
ain't on the
prepared.
page, it ain't on the stage
Yeah. Right.
yourself. No, it was all on the page. It was
Okay.
just it was a first blush kind of a performance.
Right. Yeah.
Different from anything I had done or have done since, I believe.
Mm.
Different. I
Mm.
didn't get to participate. I
Mm.
just, that is, I made sure it happened.
And you
And
had, was that before or after? I mean, you were doing some work with Warner Brothers. I believe you were working sometime you were developing department for the music section of the Warner Brothers at the time.
Well, I'm sure at some point some of that will come to light. I'll make sure that that happens because they were incredible. I did a series of, I think there were 14. There were films that were under 10 minutes long, from 3 to 10 minutes. The reason for that cap was I wanted them to all fit on a projectionist reel at a neighborhood theater without an extra projectionist. So the time was limited. I wanted them to be documentaries so that we could give them to educational institutions. I wanted the artists to participate, to have an income stream that would keep them off the narcotic-driven road testing that they were having to do in performances, which was killing some of them. Let's talk Jimi Hendrix, Janis Joplin, many people that I knew very well, Lowell George, certainly, people that I loved, seeing them in a narcotic stupor, trying to chase a buck with lousy record contracts drove me nuts. And I thought that it was my job to set up some income stream for the artists, and I did it with these pictures, short pictures, beautiful pictures. With the artist receiving, they cost $18,500, not very much, under 20,000 pounds. And each of them, past that point of recoupment, netted the artists themselves 25%. Wow. 25%. What has happened to that idea? What has happened is that the artists are getting fractions of songwriting royalties, and they're getting zip from the likes of MTV and other video exploiters. So I had delusions of grandeur. I tried to improve an industry. I felt like I was running a one-man Trojan horse.
Wow, that's a great another great story, because obviously this is something that many years ahead of the very idea that a music section would have a film section.
But it took yipping and yapping. It took barking at the heels. It took courage. But the thing is, I think if you take what is interesting to me at 68 is the certainty now that all that matters in life is doing the right thing. This is how you sleep at night. This is what leads to contentment. So doing the right thing far outreaches any rewards in ending up in a dilemma like, what lie did I tell? Yeah. So when you operate by just doing the right thing, and I think that this is especially true with music, you find yourself occasionally in some real social service, and that is so great. To me. That's what I really love about this, to feel that even as, pardon me, as economically pressed as a guy my age should be, it is amazing to see the power of my ability to contribute something that once present might be necessary to someone else's contentment.
Yeah,
that's why we're here. That's why you're here. It shows in your work.
And you know, you referred to it a while back when you said the power of the community, and it was something I very much agree with you. It's a kind of, and it's something that actually does come when you get slightly older. When when you're young, everybody does it, but you kind of think about yourself quite a lot. And then when you get older, if you've got any humanity and you've got any sense of dignity, you stop thinking about yourself and for a while, and you're obviously thinking about your family, but you're also thinking about your community. The community is very, and I know it's important to you, it's very important to me, very important to me. I mean, literally, you've got a responsibility to your immediate community, and you, as you say, as a musician, you know, you've got to make a living, but at some point you're going to be called upon to actually contribute as a musician to your community.
Well, I want to tell you, you're going to have a great time with this album. I want to tell you, you have such a lot of finger-popping, wonderful, exultant, empowering music in your program. And I predict that you're going to, if you would just give me, just as a present, if you would just give me the first 2 rows of lesbians, I promise I can convert them. Okay? I mean, before all this show, because while I've still got your attention,
Yeah.
before you really, strike the mother load,
Mm.
I would like to say I really love your work,
Oh,
and
thank you.
I'm honored that we had this moment,
Yeah.
and I hope we have some more snapshots.
Yeah, and hopefully there's going to be a situation where in the future, you know, we might get closer than a Skype link, than a satellite link, and get on the same stage as in the not too distant future.
Well, that would be fun. Now, you realize, of course, that the only difference between us is that you are a man with portfolio. You have a record contract with Drag Records. I know that for a fact. And you're talking to a man, I'm not going to say twice your age, it's not fair,
No, you're not trying.
uh, who doesn't have a contract with anyone else. But I do have a vanity label, and I'm here to make noise.
Mm.
So I know we'll see each, as they say in show business, let's see each other in the next reel.
Yeah. I must tell you
Now,
something really, Van Dyke, before you go, I will tell you something.
Yeah.
I don't think Brian Wilson will mind me saying this, but a few years ago, Brian was backstage at one of the concert halls here, and he was doing one of the Smile sessions. I can't remember which one it was, and a friend of mine was, and the thing a lot of people don't realise, but with when Brian's on tour, he people sometimes I always found that sometimes he was a little bit lonely because people didn't talk to him you know, people used to sort of make sure he was okay, but not a lot of people actually sat down and talked to him. So he sat down with a friend of mine, and they had this moment, and my friend had just put out a record, and Brian said, "So, what are you doing?" And my friend said, "Well, I've just released a record," and he said, "How's it doing?" And my friend said, "Oh, it's okay. You know, well, you know, I've sold." He said, what's it sold? He said, "Oh, 116." And Brian Wilson said, "That's pretty good, 116,000." And my friend said, "No, 116." I said, "Things have changed."
Well, I got the same thing from Brian when he talks about number of square feet in a house. But our problems are only first world. I tell my kids that.
Yeah.
It's a first world problem.
Yeah, yeah.
But the first world problems now are in the face of an American electorate. Only 34% of Americans believes in the quote quote theory of Charles Darwin.
Mm.
These are dark times. The info age has had its age without delivering the info, apparently. The info is this: we're here to serve. We do music, but we serve broadly because we connect feelings and thoughts. And that's what you do. And I know it's what I do, and I'm not being boastful, but I'm saying it has taken and will continue to take sacrifice from both of us because there's no shelter in the arts. And we must continue that struggle. And I'm very strengthened by your kind regard. So I want to thank you.
And thank you for sitting down and giving us this time. Thank you for years of great music. Thank you for influence. Thank you for allowing us in our band to do what we do, because it's people like you who basically got us out of this and put us here, and basically maybe continuing something that you guys started a long time ago.
Well, I'm in your audience, and I love it, and I look forward to seeing you soon in person.
All right, Van Dyke, big thumbs up. Okay, take care. Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.